All right, that tool in the frame there, that's for operating on the human ear. I know you're going to say, ooh, I use that to retrieve screws that have fallen down inside of radios and VCRs. I had used it for that. But I want to talk about the weather. And everybody's like, oh, the weather, you can't change the weather. Officially now, I've had 8 out of 10 yard sales on Saturday get rained out. Now, the one yard sale I told you I went to it and it didn't rain. And I walked around, I saw people I haven't saw in years. And the yard sale started at like 7, 8. And the people started just closing down at 11. And, I got to meet everybody I haven't seen in a while. And I said to them, they said, nobody's here. And I'm thinking about it. I said, well, when I first got there, it was really busy. I might have mentioned this in another video. And I think what it turned out to be was so many people have yard work to do, and they keep getting rained out on Saturday that they hit the yard sale real quick, went back home, and did what they had to do. And that's the yard sale. When I came home, I basically my back went out, and the state troopers drove me home. But it's unbelievable the rain. Now, last Sunday, I had on Philly weather. I had my antenna aimed at Philly, and the anchor woman, or one of the newscasters, is razzing on the weatherman, and the weatherman's like all frazzled, and she says, "Tell me now it's going to rain next Saturday," and he's like all nervous. And then the next day on my weather, it said it was going to rain Saturday, which is today. So I had told you maybe in another video, basically it feels like it's impossible that it can only rain on Saturdays and not the rest of the week. And one year, I was thinking about it last night. There's a girl that worked at Wawa, and she worked Monday through Friday and Sunday. She needed the money. She's a single mom, but she'd take off Saturday. So Saturday's her day off, and she liked to throw parties in her backyard. Every single Saturday got rained out. And when I went into the Wawa, she was talking in tongues. And I said, what's going on? She told me, she says, I work Monday through Friday and Sunday, but I take off Saturday. And I bought supplies to have a party in the backyard. And it keeps raining on every Saturday. And I'm like, I had noticed that too. But, being retired, you get mad because it's a Saturday. When you go out anywhere, everything's open. Everything's happening. You see people you haven't seen, and they can talk longer because they don't have to go to work. So I noticed that my Saturdays were being rained out. So I just burped. So anyway, yesterday I looked at the weather and it said it wasn't going to rain today. So I'm like, really? So then later on in the day I checked again. Nothing. No rain for Saturday. And then I checked later in the day. All right, now they show rain 9 o'clock in the morning. Just a shower. And then later on, normally I don't check after a certain time. I accept that forecast. I check a little later on. There's 2 more hours now where it's going to rain. So then last night before I went to bed, basically it said it's going to rain all day. All right, so I go to bed and I'm not even going to think about the yard sale. I'm not even going to try to get the bus, go up there, because here's what happens. If it looks like it's going to rain, the people don't put the stuff out. You might get a few people that put stuff in their garage. So anyway, I got up this morning, and the humidity was unbearable. And I did this video, and now I'm redoing it because it never rained. I mean, it drizzled a tiny bit, but if you looked on the weather map on the satellite, it was dense rain over us. But it wouldn't drop because the air was so humid. And the temperature, there was no temperature difference to get the moisture to start, oh no, condensing. And the moisture wasn't raining. And right after the yard sale would be over, like 12 o'clock, the frickin' sun came out. Like right now it's overcast again. But, and then last night was graduation night for a lot of people. It rained. there wasn't supposed to be any rain yesterday, and then it formed. And I heard these claps of thunder, and I put on it was forming in Lancaster area over us, and it got some of the graduation ceremonies uh, around 7 o'clock at night, the perfect time. You got all the chairs out there on the lawn, and everybody's starting to come in their gowns, and the storm comes out of nowhere. But I would just want to say, uh, it seems impossible that it only rains on Saturday. And one person put a reason for it in the comments section, but I've seen it do this before in the past years. Uh, actually, it was both days. We had a summer where both Saturday and Sunday rained, and I would go out, I'd do a 100-mile bike ride in pouring rain, get soaking wet, come back home after 100 miles, take the bike apart real fast, dry all the parts, and then over the next week, every night, put the bike together. I used to bicycle ride on rollers in the cellar to get ready for the ride, and then I'd ride another 100 miles in the rain, and it just it's amazing stuff. The weather, and you're retired, and it can still get you now. When I worked in TRW, I had to be there Monday and Friday. I could take off Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I have days off coming, but I said, you know what? I'm going to talk to the boss, the big boss. I went in and I said, I'm gonna take off Wednesdays, but I'm gonna come in Saturday. And he goes, why? I said, it's raining every weekend. I have stuff I got to get done. I own a house now, and so I was take off Wednesday, and you go to the shopping mall. There's nobody there. It's really weird, and I'd be out there mowing the lawn, and there would be nobody home, and none of the neighbors were home. They were all at work. It was really weird to be off on Wednesdays. Uh, and I kept trying to, throughout my life, I'm like realizing that the weather is a big part of retirement or your free time. Now, my dad, he got 2 weeks off last week in first last week in July, first week in August. That's one of the hottest times of the year. My father would get off work for 2 weeks. He'd either paint the house, try to get the car through inspection, or I think a few times we would go fishing locally, and his 2 weeks of vacation every year were just scorching hot, or it would rain, and I would get so sunburned when it didn't rain, and it was just. And then one day he said to me, the weeks my company give me off, the 2 weeks, they close down. It's because it gets so hot in that building, which back in the old days, machine shops didn't have air conditioning. They had those big floor fans, the ones on the long pole. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but in other words, they couldn't get any work out of anybody when it's that hot, that many days in a row. Let's put it that way. But I sit there and I'm like, I got a yard sale coming up, and this was the biggest one. This was the Willows, which is up behind the music theater, and the people, they have extra money, and they really give you stuff at a really great price, brand new. They buy it, they have buyer's remorse, and they stick it out on a yard sale. And then sometimes I'll buy something, and they'll say, here, take this also. No one wants it, and all right, I'll take it. You buy a couple of DVDs, and they know they're not selling. Here, take the rest of these too. Always give them $1 more, just for them being so nice, But yeah, it looked like it was gonna pour any minute. So I did the video, not this video, the other video, and I got my clothes on, or my clothes, my sneakers, and I have to get my watch on, my belt, and my driver's license, and my cell phone, and I went out for a walk, and I took an umbrella with me, and it's raining now. Son of a bitch. Well, anyway, I went for a walk, and before I left, I looked on the map, and there was an open circle, and it was over us. So I hit the bricks, as they say. I went outside, and I started walking around, and it rained. The last video I mentioned that you take an umbrella with you, and a lot of times it won't rain. It'll drizzle, but it's not enough to open the umbrella. Then sometimes it rains enough to get the umbrella wet enough that when you get home, you have to open it up and dry it out, otherwise it gets moldy. And then sometimes you have the umbrella and you think, I'm all set. Well, the rain comes down sideways and it's so windy that if you open the umbrella, you'll break it. But so I've been through all these scenarios, and I told you, what was that, 2 weeks ago? Did the police bring me home 2 weeks ago? And 3 weeks ago, I got soaking wet. Yeah, after the deal with the state police driving me home because my back went out, I mowed the lawn. I waited 2 days. I mowed the lawn, and then when I do my walks now, I stay closer to the house. I did do that neighborhood once, the neighborhood where my back went out, but it was because I was standing around. And when I used to stand for long periods of time at work, my back would give me trouble. But I'm a lot older now, and the problem becomes even bigger. And I lost control, the coordination of my feet. I won't say I lost control of my feet totally, but it was like a spasm in the back. And as soon as the state police guy cleaned off the front seat for me to sit, as soon as I sat down on that seat, I said, the spasming went away. And then when he got me home, I said, just make sure I can get out. And he stood there and he held on to me as I put my weight on my feet. I said, I'm good. I'm good. I said, I won't say it's a one-time thing. That could get worse and worse as we go on. But he was a lot younger than me, and he says he does running, and he's had his back rocked basically the same way. He's running along, and all of a sudden, the back says, "That's it." But see, in his case, he can make it back to his car, or he's in his own neighborhood. I wasn't in my own neighborhood. I was close, but I knew I couldn't make it home. I couldn't believe that, But I just wanted to tell you, right now it's raining out there, and so that meant the map. I looked at it before. All the rain had gone towards Philly. Now Philly, I mentioned, they've had every weekend has been rained. They've had rain, and I think a couple of the Phillies games got, or maybe the opener, it got rained out. I forget what it was, but there people were. It was so bad they didn't even try to have the game. It was raining so hard over there. And now I shouldn't complain too much because these same rainstorms, as they're coming across the country, they have tornadoes in them, and they're wiping people's houses out. And that's horrible because your insurance never really pays you the full amount for the house. And the government doesn't seem to want to pay you any money anymore. They want the states to handle it. And let me show you what this is. When you move these handles here, let me make sure I'm in the frame. When you move these handles here, right, this tip opens and closes. I like this camera. You see how this thing acts? This light, here, we'll get it in the frame. Wow, it's in the, what the hell is going on with this camera? All right, here it is. Here's my light. This light puts out a lot of infrared. Not infrared. Yeah, infrared. And any kind of like reflection can get in the camera, maybe this way. And the camera will just go right out. All right, let's lift it up. All right, here's the tool. And I'm going to move my fingers down here. And then there's a little edge. Let me get up into the... Hi, how you doing? And I used this for several times. One case, the neighbor, his wife put the VCR tape in backwards, and it went down, and it wouldn't come back up. So he took the VCR apart, and he broke some wires. He gives it to me. I find where all the wires go. I get it working, and then I go back next door, and I said, "Where's the screws to put the top on?" Oh, he says, "Oh, they're still inside." I went, "Oh man, you let me run this thing when there's screws." Well, anyway, one of the screws went down like a cylinder of wires, and no matter how I'd shake that VCR, that screw would not come out of the VCR. It wouldn't dislodge. So of course, when you have something like this, see, it's in the frame. It's not in the frame. It looks like it's in the frame, but it's not in the frame. Okay, so you go down there and you grab the screw, and then you can pull it out. And this long nose or beak will let you get way down and stuff. Now, some people use a stick with some 5-minute epoxy on it. Put a little dab of 5-minute epoxy, You lower the stick down, hit the screw, let it harden, let the epoxy harden, and then you can get the screw out. But I've used this tool many times, and it was at a tool store, and this guy would come in with dental picks, tweezers, and anything that you probably never see in a tool store. And then the guy would put them on they were on the desk, the counter of the checkout. And then he could gauge by how many people would, and they were always a good price. I bought some tweezers there. I bought some dental picks there, real cool dental picks. And basically what happened was these things, nobody would touch them. And he didn't know what they were for, but I told him. Edmund Scientific also sold them. And he goes, nobody even picked them up. And I'm saying, well, and they couldn't even see that beak opens up at the end. So when you look at it real quick, you don't even realize that opens. All right? So I'm like, give me a pair. And he's like, you kidding? I said, no. I said, sometimes you drop a screw in something. Also, I've used it where I put it through a hole, and then I could pull a wire under a harness and in through the hole. Sometimes you can't get everything from the top. Sometimes I have tweezers sometimes, but sometimes the thing is a real bitch. As you're pushing the wire along, sometimes you make the mistake of stripping it first, and anyway, sometimes you make a mistake. Let's put it that way. And this tool gets you out of that mess. I think that's it. All right, that's it.